Pregame.com.
Saturday, college football. We have Fresno State at Boise State. A nice old rivalry for people out west. We're going to go to Chuck Edel for his video, Best Bet of the Week. Chuck.
Yes, the Boise State team I think is overrated. They're ranked partially because of their name. This is, defensively, they only brought 2 guys back on defense. That was supposed to be a weakness for them. They've been lucky. Early in the year, they've played some very soft offenses. We've seen BYU's offense. We know they're weak. Michigan State struggling offensively. New Mexico, Southern Miss, who's been playing 3 different quarterbacks. In fact, last week, Boise played Southern Miss in the scoreboard. They dominated the game. They actually got outgained in the game, but of course Southern Miss turned the ball over a bunch. But this is a Boise State team now who's going to play a good Fresno team who's going to come in there on the blue carpet. Maybe they're getting a few too many points, VR. I just think this is a Boise team who, years ago, maybe they were undervalued on the turf, but now maybe getting too much respect at home.
I have to agree with Chuck because all of a sudden, the last 2 years or so, and the numbers reflect this, it not only has the home field edge been factored into the price, but it's overinflated. I mean, now you're paying a premium where there is no more value just because they're playing at home. And I agree. This coming into this season, I know that they're becoming a program that reloads. Instead of having to rebuild, I get that. But with that said, they've never had to deal with losing this many players. I mean, this is the first time Peterson lost this many on offense and defense, and you're not seeing Kellen Moore behind center. This kid's not going to be the next Kellen Moore.
No, he's definitely not. And I think there's a couple of different ways to look at that home field advantage, too. When you're an underdog, you need to have a good, solid defense that's going to keep you in the game. When you're a favorite, you need to have some explosiveness so you could pile up some points. This team has not been explosive all season long. You talked about their defensive deficiencies. I think they've played a lot of weak offenses, but they have not been explosive offensively. This is not the Boise VR, like you said, with Kellen Moore under center.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, we saw them barely get 7 points against BYU. They struggled against Michigan State. How about the New Mexico game? I mean, granted, they had a 25-0 lead, but let New Mexico get back in the game, 132-29. They're also going to be missing their top kickoff returner, and they're one of the better wide receivers. He's out for the game. Mitch Burrows, he's not going to be playing. But this Fresno offense, I mean, we saw them. Sure, maybe Oregon, wasn't playing the top of their game when they played, but this Fresno team put some points up on them. Carr, the quarterback, he's looked extremely sharp. He has, And Rouse, the kid running the ball. I mean, that's a real good 1-2 punch there on offense. We'll see how good the BYU defense is.
You coming from the bettors background, you from the bookmakers background, this line came out at 9, dropped down to 7, 7.5. So obviously that's sharp money. We could draw that conclusion because we know the betting public's going to be on Boise. And nobody waited for that line to go back up. So obviously the wise guys, call them what you will, thought this line was inflated. When the betting public gets involved, and we know they don't get involved until game day, would you say sit back and bet this late? Wait now because you may have missed the best number, or is it going to keep dropping?
I don't think it keeps dropping. I think that there will be enough public money. I think you'll get right around that 7 mark.
I think 7.5's out there, and I think I would grab the 7.5 still because I think it might go down to possibly to 7, and I don't see it going up over 7.5.
Or where it opened at, not even close.
Right.
Gotcha.
I look at Fresno, and they went into Oregon. Now, in my ratings, I have Oregon and Boise as the 2 highest-rated home field advantages.
Barna, I agree.
Fresno showed an awful lot of moxie in that game. They were down a ton at the half. And I know they got eased up on by Oregon. I understand that. But still, they showed a lot of their intestinal fortitude, coming back, playing really hard through a game. You know you're not going to win, not when you're down. I think they were down 35 or something like that at the half, but played extremely tough the second half. I think
Oregon's tougher to play at than Boise.
Well, certainly at this point in time. But I'm saying they have a little bit of that. They've been forged in steel a little bit by showing one good performance in a very tough venue, and now here they are at another tough venue. And I think they're just going to be a little tougher mentally, having been through that already.
Yeah, and there's offensively, defensively. they've given up some yards, but they've still held some teams down enough to where they got the win. Boise at home, just to reiterate what we're talking about, their last 9 games on that blue turf, they've only covered 2 of those games. So again, I think maybe the line being
caught up. Market's caught up.
That is such a terrific point, and I have to tell you, I am going to go back and off of that, and I'm dead serious. I'm going to readjust my home field advantage. I knew it wasn't quite what it was. I blamed it, like I said, on the fact that they don't have the explosiveness right now that they've had the last couple of years. But I need to lower my home field advantage for Boise.
Everybody's caught up on Boise State. I compare them to Gonzaga in college basketball. You know, at one time Gonzaga was always such a good bet, and then all of a sudden it was just the opposite. Now all of a sudden they were overvalued. I think Boise for years was a great bet, but now everybody knows Boise. Now's the time to sell.
All right, Chuck, we've talked about it. Let's make it official.
Fresno State plus the 7.5 still out there right now. They're going to go and expose a Boise State defense who really has not been tested this year. Fresno State offensively, Carr throwing the ball, Rouse running the ball. They could easily win this game straight up on Saturday.
If this team could play some defense, they could upset this. I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled an upset, if they could play some defense.
Oh, I think they definitely could pull an upset here.
Boise doesn't have that explosive offense.
Exactly.
All right, coming up next, we're going to get VR's best bet. And don't forget, you can get all our videos at pregame.tv.